The map room in Conan Exiles is more than just a very large miniature model of the world. It is vital for being able to get around the world a lot quicker, especially in early game before you learn sorcery. You're going to need a map room to get all about. There are a few obelisks located about the map, which I will also show, as well as where to learn the map room itself. It's usually the first recipe I go and touch because its bits are a little bit crazy to come by. But if you know where to look, the corrupted stone, the iron reinforcements, the alchemical base, and crystal are very easily gatherable. No level required. It did used to be level 60 to be able to place it down, but they've taken that away. You can use it at any level, and you can also do a sneaky thing if you have a friend and they have an obelisk unlocked. They can touch it first, and then you can touch it quickly before they teleport and steal their teleport. So while they're glowing like this and not able to move, you can pinch their teleport. Currently don't have a friend that I can show you that on single player with. It will boop you to these obelisk locations. So when you see these glowing pillars in the lands, do touch them. I touch them every single time because I've done so many playthroughs. Sometimes I forget which ones I've touched already or not. But luckily your map room will in fact say bracelet not attuned if it is not attuned. So you can tell really quickly. They're not quite in line of where you think they would be. So to get to the Brimstone Lake is actually this one here. That's going to teleport us over here. We'll go around and show you all where those are in just a moment, but we might as well teleport back to the unnamed city. Located in DE6 area, we'll find the archives, or the Library of Esoteric Knowledge, it's also known as, in the unnamed city. Touch the obelisk and then come all the way down here. It is pretty easy to get to this location at level 0, avoiding all of the skeletons. You just have to run. Just keep running. There is a fair decent amount of corruption around this area that you will get corrupted to until you get down here where it is less corrupty. But I do believe sandstorms will hit you here, but not like halfway up there where you start getting corrupted. Keep that in mind. And for some silly reason, you cannot use this map room. So you've just fought your way here beyond the Goblin City and they won't even let you teleport out conveniently again. I think it is a very missed opportunity. But we want to talk to this ghosty fella. On occasion, he can be missing. It is a bit rarer these days, but if he is, he's usually wandering around up here weirdly. Talk to him and learn cartographer. If you happen to have 5 fragments from roaming around, I probably would grab that and learn it straight away too, because it'll come in very handy later. You could run your risk of getting some recipes over at the recipe learning section here, but as they're a bit random, you could end up with just a whole bunch of taxidermy and decorative grindstone recipes. Far less handy. Definitely come back and get those when you have more fragments, but I'm detouring. There are pretty much an obelisk located at most convenient places around the map, although there is a few lacking spots for sure where you're like, ugh, I have to run so far. But we'll go around and show you where all those obelisks you can touch are now. This one here in the unnamed city is usually the first or second one I touch. Sometimes I do forgo the one at the dregs here, but right here in 6D, located above the dregs dungeon in 4D, we will find possibly your first, possibly your last obelisk you touch, depending on how keen you are to do the dregs and come back to Noob River. Tune your bracelet. Usually this is a little annoying to get up, especially when you are low level. If you're playing on a multiplayer server, often someone will have a little contraption built here so you can climb up much easier. If not, I usually climb up the corner of here, then up here, or sometimes I jump across to here and climb that way. Really depends how I'm feeling. The next obelisk I like to get is at the sinkhole, because I do tend to like to also touch the dragonbone armor sooner than later, and weapons to be fair, here in 6H. Usually the second or third. Very handy as you will probably be coming back here fairly often, especially on PvP, to fight some sweats. The sweats love the sinkhole. The next obelisk I touch is in the jungle because I spend a lot of my time in the jungle, and also this place can be a little bit sweaty on occasion too. Located in N6. There are a couple of ways to get here. I personally like to swim through this little gap here on my way up. Pretty easy. Take an immediate right, go up these stairs, potentially fight these dudes, or run past them. They are good level, so if you are low level, probably do that, especially if you have stone daggers. Then take a left before you get to this little bridge. Sometimes you'll find a base here, but it's pretty dang rare. When there is, I get sad because blocking my paths. We'll find this spiral tree. We want to go up and around the tree. Occasionally a cat may be lured down here. Gives me an idea someone has been around here recently, as the cats usually hang up here and only follow people down sometimes. And as they do return home now, it does mean someone's been by very recently, which is sometimes a little bit daunting on a sweaty server. You don't want to lose your nothing so straight away. Very easy to get to, but you can also just come this long ass pathy way too. If I'm feeling frisky, I'll make my way up into the swamp area to get my next obelisk. Sometimes I don't get this one until well later on in the game because I don't love the swamp early game with the spitty things and the poison things and the death and the frustration. A little bit later it's not so bad, and it's a decent spot to actually build a base because people very much dislike it, like myself. You can get to it pretty easily by running over a bunch of these trees, jumping over some cliffs, coming kind of like this way. You'll have to do a bit of jumping over some stuff, and not too hard to get to. And there's usually a map room opposite it on multiplayer servers, so there'll be like one here most of the time, the people that consider it. Sometimes you get stoogey multiplayer server, and you must be the provider of the map room. Not advisable to do that on really sweaty servers, though. It can end up biting you in the butt to provide map rooms for everyone, so keep that in mind. And you can usually tell the sweatiness of a server whether it's got blocked off map rooms that are not public or not. If I don't head towards the jungle, this one would probably be my third or fourth obelisk that I'll touch, over by Killil's stronghold and the Brimstone Lake. It is a place you'll be visiting often. Again, often sweats will be here fighting PvP, so it is good to come get it if you like a bit of fighting and you do see it in chat. People are fighting at Brimstone or Sinkhole. You'll be able to teleport here and get involved much quicker. And there's usually a map room located nearby too, because considerate people and all of that, usually just down there. Then I'm a run up to Mounds of the Dead. Again, a lot of PvP happens here. Not quite as much as back in the day. This one used to be way more popular than, say, Sinkhole, but then it changed to Sinkhole and Brimstone being a little bit more popular. Sinkhole's just, I guess, a big open area where lots of people could put their little death pyramids about. Not sure why the attention swinged so hard. I'm assuming that. I left PvP for like 6 months, came back, nobody barely fought at Mounds anymore, and everyone was a Sinkhole sweat. I've said sweat like 84 times in this. It's just about obelisk locations, Jesus. Anyway, we're at 11B at Mounds of the Dead. You're going to find yourself coming back here to get a lot of different thralls. Star metal, often from taming these thralls, you can get some easy star metal from dismantling their weapons. Good place for bark, and yeah, just a good place for resources all around. Red Lotus, located close to the north. This next spot you may need to eat some spicy food or pop a few bedrolls down, because you can sometimes get a bit too much frostbite crossing this river or the bridge itself. Sometimes the river is a little bit warmer to cross in certain spots, but you really got to do that right. So usually a few bedrolls or a spicy something or some alcohol that gives you heat. Or you can get a sword of a skeleton around here. If you haven't seen where my legendary rare weapons drop off bosses, go check that out and go get yourself the Eye of the Watcher sword. Oh, we've got a random event here. I forgot they existed. I should probably do a guide on all of those, but anyway. Touch your obelisk. You want to come back here often for Blue Lotus. It is the only area for the spawn. Lots of skeletons to kill. This is actually a really good event to do because a Blood Moon Beast will spawn here and you can get some decent stuff of her. She's a scepter boss usually. Easy black ice, sometimes from boxes around here on the pillars. You'll find black ice and shit in those boxes. The skeletons are good XP, as well as dropping some alchemical and armor related things in their pockets. That one was pretty shit example, but they, trust me, take my word, they are good to kill. And we have the Silent Legion dungeon, which you definitely want to be doing. It's very easy. You can pretty much run in and run out without getting scathed and naked. I do have a video on how to do it pretty much naked. Run in, run out, get your recipe, and away with you. From here, I'll make my way along this wall, dip in here, and usually go up this path to the volcano. You can avoid most frostbite and most enemies, although there are occasionally saber cats rats and those skeletons about here, but we do want to head up next to the volcano. Much more preferable way to go is through the cave in the north here, and you run up this way. This is sometimes the second or third obelisk I get to because I do like to head to the volcano pretty early on. A good indication that you are near the right place is a big dragon. It will be a 3 scale, but there are a couple of babies about to go through this cave. I also like this entrance because it's the closest to the actual obelisk itself. You're less likely to get ganked by the now aggressive thralls in the volcano. A lot of them weren't aggressive unless provoked. Now pretty much all of them will try to murk you. If you don't have the will to live in here and you didn't get any ice, you can buy some of this guy, and you can also buy some iced tea up here, but there's plenty of ice spawns on your way. And then here's your obelisk. You can build all here too, but it stops about here. So often you will find sometimes a random built-in map room or thrall taming will if they're obnoxious people right here. Touch that. And because apparently sometimes we're mentioning events that are near obelisks. Not that I mentioned any of the other ones near any of the other obelisks, but anyway, there's another very good event that can spawn here, and you can cheese those guys and get them in the lava. So you just jump across the lava. They can't jump, so they'll walk into the lava and die. They're a great source of regular blood when hacked up, which is nice. Not many things drop regular blood, and a sorcerer will end up spawning in the middle. It's a fun little event, so keep your eyes peeled if that's happening. To be honest, this is sometimes the last obelisk I touch. I don't come get black ice from over here very often, and I don't use it for leveling. I know I'm crazy. I find other ways to level up really quickly. So yeah, it can be a sweaty spot also. Oh, I didn't even mention where the volcano obelisk was. One sec. It was in G13, a little bit south of Path of the Patient. Now I can talk about the frost obelisk. In 13E, this guy, pretty much location for black ice. Black ice weapons are fairly useless now. The tools are kind of meh also. Not really worth that. The giants themselves are a fairly decent source of a bunch of stuff, so worth killing them, but this dungeon has definitely gone down in my ranks in recent times. It is by far one of the better sources of black ice. If I really need it, I'm gonna go to the Godbreaker dungeon, to be honest. It's just so much easier than coming here. You will get substantially less, so if you really are looking to level a lot, say you have a leveling mod on and you need to get to level 300, here could be a good place. Star Metal is also very good XP. But as it's a whole bunch of death running up this way, I usually come through the volcano entrance. Even if I haven't done it at the time when I get the volcano obelisk, I'll come back through the volcano obelisk path, jump off this cliff here after coming through this little gate. Jumping off is pretty easy. You just turn around before you hit an edge and cling on. Nice quick way down. Now, building the map room itself, you'll need a hammer, and it is located under special in building pieces. And we're going to need to make some corrupted stone. To make corrupted stone, we are going to also require any type of alchemist bench, no longer crafted in a fireball cauldron, but you will need that fireball cauldron for making that alchemical base. So basically you're going to need both of the alchemical benches. And as they have changed it so the regular alchemist bench no longer takes more ichor, it only takes more stone, you can do it really low level. Before, the ichor used to be a little bit annoying because at a low level you are getting most of your ichor with a stone pick or trying your luck on spiders with a zath knife. To get demon blood, we are at this location here because I personally find a 1 skulls to be the best source. And this rock donkey here, he's really easy to kill with his 376 health. He's really easy to avoid his moves also. Not a guaranteed chance to get demon blood. But yeah, we got 44 on that occasion. Now, it is debatable whether you want to use efficient harvest or careful harvest, as ichor, and demon blood are a rare resource, so you are more likely to harvest them with the careful harvest, but they are a random chance to proc on the different things, so you could proc on the last hit and get a lot of it. So I usually just go efficient harvest because it's more beneficial when mining a whole lot of other stuff too. But if you are having a little bit of trouble, do try that careful harvest. This guy's in 8D, but there are a few other 1 skulls getting about and a couple of these rock donkeys themselves. There are a fair few spawns of these spiders around on the map. I have separate guides that go into where all of these legendary monsters spawn. This guy will also drop extra fun loot in his inventory. and a legendary key which you can use when you're delving in a dungeon. One of the best ways to get your resources for the map room is getting blood crystals from either blood crystal rock noses or blood crystal golems. I do have a separate guide going into a bunch of those spawn locations, and the best way to get blood crystal other than those guys by simply running that Karak dungeon. If you complete the dungeon, you will also get a severed head of Karak, which will give you some goodies too. As you do need to have a fairly decent tool for harvesting a good amount of blood crystal, it's not the easiest strat early on. I do have other guides that go into how to get Ichor early, how to get alchemical base, gold and silver, and demon blood without having to come here. But if you do have the ability, come talk to this guy and buy some caches. We're going to get a whole lot of these resources. The steel fire, not necessarily needed for making the map room, but incredibly handy for leveling up your base or making bombs. We can also get this alchemical base, which we need, and some just raw gold and silver stone, which you can use for making more alchemical base or coins or purges, a whole lot of other stuff. We talk to this guy and we trade in our 3 skulls. We'll get a slightly fancier Grand Ophidian Magi's case, which we will get ever so slightly more materials from and some golem bits and some other things, but substantially more resources per. If you have the ability to kill him and get his skull, definitely do that, but just simply doing the first part of the dungeon will get you a lot of blood crystal. Check out those other guides on how to get those other resources if you need a little bit more help. There are a lot of other ways to get around involving sorcery, but those are for other guides. You can also choose to solely get about with a mount or fast travel with a mount and get about from obelisk to obelisk much quicker again. Check out my related guides on those things for further details. Most of the things I've mentioned in this guide, I will have a link to those in the description. If you found this informative, smash that like button. If you're not already, consider subscribing. Happy map rooming about, and until next time, have an excellent day, evening, night, morning, whatever it may be, wherever you may be. Have a good one.